Hi, welcome to Mindful Conversations. My name is Greg Dwyer. My guest today is Paul Starybrat. Did I say this right?
You said
Starybrat?
it right.
I feel like I'm insulting you when I'm saying Starybrat. Now, how do you say that in the original mother tongue?
In Polish, it'd be Starybrat, which means old brother.
Old brother.
So yeah, predates Christianity.
And how so? What do you mean? What's the date?
Before you were born, for sure.
You should do stand-up, do you?
I've tried.
Okay.
I can write it.
You can write it?
I can write it, but delivering it is very challenging.
Okay, but you know what? You just have to get out there and do it 1,000 times before, right?
Yeah, we can ask some mutual friends how that went for them, but
no
one knows what that means.
They're working at Stop and Shop now. So how in the world do you have this expertise in creativity? I mean, what brought you here?
What brought me to here? You called me up and said, hey, Paul, come on
That's right,
over.
you drove here.
Yeah.
No, you should definitely do stand-up. No, but really, how did you get into this whole creative aspect of your life? I mean, why is that a major focus?
I'd say I was born that way,
okay.
But I think that's not true. I think people find things out of necessity,
okay,
as a solution to what might be going on in their lives. I think for myself, music was really the first creative thing I ever did, and I was a good musician. I was a trombone player. I went to Western Regionals and All-State and all those great and meaningful experiences. And that was really cool. And I found that music was kind of a better friend to me than a lot of the people that I knew.
Okay.
I could take comfort in playing other people's dialogue, so to speak. Someone's writing music and then you're playing it. And then after a while, I started hearing my own songs in my head. And so I needed to get that out.
Okay.
And so I had to learn a whole new instrument. Mm-hmm. And in my case, instruments. And so I kind of went that way. And I finally had a voice for myself. And, you know, some people say, you know, when you write music, you're really writing it for you. Yeah, it's always nice to share things, though.
Sure.
You know, not that I had any illusions about being, you know, the next singer of Queen. I was shooting for, like, Van Halen, which was a little below Queen.
Okay.
Freddie Mercury, you know, very hard act to follow, you know.
He was unbelievable. I mean, his showmanship was something else.
Absolutely. His showmanship, the voice, and I would watch him and just be in awe.
Almost mesmerized.
Totally, completely, you know. And the whole band could play. But it was hard to take your eyes off of Freddie.
Right.
And so it was aligning myself with, I suppose, creative people. Like, all right, I'm not going to meet Freddie Mercury, you know, when you're, 15 and a half or something like that. But you start hanging out with other musicians in school.
Sure.
And then I tried the acting thing simply because I would be playing in the pit orchestra during all the school musicals and stuff, and which was also flattering because I got to play with a lot of pros that way. So that was the introduction of me elevating my game from amateur to something more than that.
Right.
Which was really great. And then I would sit in the pit watching these people. I'm like, oh, I could do that better than them.
Okay.
You know, which is a very arrogant and cocky thing to say, but yeah, that is me sometimes. And so I gave it a shot. You know, I tried my first try at acting, and I liked it. Becoming someone that isn't you, you have to. I'm very much a relativistic learner, in so much as that if I know how to do one thing and I'm trying to do something new, I'm going to try to relate that new thing to something that I can do.
Well, that's how you learn. And
I think so.
And teachers, that's how they teach.
I think so. I mean, school was always very difficult for me because I was always trying to find those abstract ways of learning. And it was very, very difficult. And they were like, you're going to have a great career in the music industry.
Well, not everybody thinks the same way. You know, you have people that are kinesthetic. You have some people that are hands-on.
Totally
people
true.
that want to. I take you as a very visual person.
Absolutely.
You speak really fast. You got pictures going through your mind, probably
Quickly.
1 million miles an hour, right?
Well, that's what makes it fun for me to talk to guys like you, for instance. You know, I get to kind of hear you, and then I got to think about that thing, process that thing, and kind of walk in your shoes a little bit and try to figure, all right, so this is this guy's experiences in life, and this is where he's going, and how do I get him to there?
And what we're talking about is the last video you did for me was on reviews, and I got to tell you, I got great reviews on it.
You got good reviews on the reviews?
Yeah, so people, when they go to gregdwyer.com and they look at the review section, they're like, who did that?
That's awesome. That
it's true.
Feels great, yeah.
It's true. So you kind of got me, or you just knew what I was thinking, or how do you do it? How do you do that?
So, I mean, all right, so you've done magic and illusion and things like that.
Right.
And I'm doing a very similar process.
Okay.
I'm reading you quickly.
You are reading me.
Oh, very quickly. I have to. That's my job.
Do you read everybody?
I don't mean to.
But you do, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how do you do that? How do you read people? You're not psychic.
No.
But you read people.
No. Yeah, I would say that it's confusing. There's times where I should just shut the damn thing off. It's a gift and a curse.
Okay. So how does it show up in your life?
How does it? Well, doing my sort of 8 to 4 job.
Okay.
I work with people with disabilities.
All right. Kids, right? Children? Young adults?
Young adults. Yep.
Okay.
And they kind of slip through the cracks. Schools didn't do a good job with them because they didn't have to.
Okay.
Now there's laws that they have to serve people with disabilities in a meaningful way, and they have to start gearing them towards transitions and even employment now.
Okay.
And of course, there's this whole cultural shift where some parents just send their kids to school, and school's supposed to teach them everything. In my time, in your time, our parents taught us our ABCs and our basic math and stuff like that.
They were involved.
Right.
Plus, they were home. My mom was home all the time.
There you
right?
go.
Now
the nuclear family breakdown thing makes things a lot trickier. But we're not. This isn't a science show, folks. But anyway, but yeah, I do. So I do read people. How do I do it?
Yeah, how do you do it? I want to know. Because I read people too, but you do it on a different level, I think.
I don't know.
Do you feel it? You see it? Is it instinct?
There's an instinct.
Okay.
I would say that's fair. Obviously, if I just look at someone, I don't know anything about them. But I need to kind of be around them.
Right.
I need to pick up on their mannerisms,
Okay.
the way they speak, the rate they speak, the pitch in which they speak,
Okay.
how they carry themselves or how they don't carry themselves.
Right. Right. You can tell probably self-esteem by someone's posture.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Yeah. And so you do this for, in my case, 26 years professionally.
Right.
With working with people with disabilities, and it becomes second nature.
Okay.
Now, with the music thing, it's not that different. The conversation that I can have with a non-musician can be a great, meaningful conversation. If I'm playing in a band, that conversation is happening on so many other levels.
Oh, deeper levels. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about rock and roll necessarily, although it can be, but like if you're playing like bebop jazz where, you're playing a blues progression, and I don't mean like B.B. King blues, I mean like bebop hardcore blues.
Okay.
You're completing each other's musical sentences.
Yes.
And there's a call and response that happens that is so deep that we don't talk about that thing.
I work with a guy in Israel because I take trips to Israel.
Right.
We've been working for 10 years together, right?
Yeah.
So we'll be sitting on the bus. Now, this guy speaks 3 or 4 different languages. He lives in the Middle East. I only see him once or twice a year, right? I will be sitting on the bus with him, and I'll be completing his sentences. Or he'll turn to me and go, "Oh, we wanted," and I go, "You don't even have to tell me what you want to do. I already know what I already know what you want to do. Sure, let's do it."
Okay.
And I know it.
Yeah.
I know what he's thinking.
Yeah. And it's funny because we don't talk about those things ever.
Well, let's not.
Well, it's kind of fun. It's funny because with 2 guys in a room, it becomes awkward for them, at least in our country.
Why? What do you mean? Because
I don't know. Like,
you're talking about intimacy on an emotional level,
I suppose,
or intelligent.
I think it's sort of an emotional sort of thing.
Okay.
And
Let's talk football then.
Right. How about the Bears? No, they're out. And so are the Patriots, evidently. But we talk about creativity.
Yes.
And I was watching you and your previous host,
Mark Iwanicki. He's a great guy.
It seems it, and a Polish last name.
Now, what did you read from him? Because you watched him from the control room.
I sure did.
What did you think? Now, even though he's left the building, what do you think about him?
Oh, he's still watching, isn't he?
He is still watching, so be careful. So when he walked in and sat down, what was your read of him? Intelligent, scholarly, bright guy? Am I putting words in your mouth? I hear laughing from
I
the
do hear
control
laughing
board.
in the control room.
He's laughing.
I can't say these things on television, what I felt from Mark. What I can say, or some of the things that you said.
You should do stand-up. You are so funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got me laughing.
What I can say is when you listen to certain people talk, that's one of the biggest keys.
Tonality?
Definitely.
Okay.
But also content. One of the problems that guys like me have, which is people that think fast and speak even faster.
You do.
Yeah, I don't breathe.
Yeah.
My doctor was telling me I got to slow down.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I don't want to. It's what makes me.
When he says slow down, what do you mean? Like
she.
Oh, she.
Yeah.
What is she talking about?
She's a pain.
What is she saying? She says you need to take a breath.
Because I had surgery on my throat.
Oh, okay.
And I lost this instrument.
Do you ever stop and think before you speak?
What's the point in that?
I know.
No, actually, yes.
You do.
Definitely.
Do you need some more time?
It's about being sensitive, I suppose, to what people need and what they're ready to hear.
But how can you say something without filtering that? Like, I don't pause. I say, you know.
So I'll give you the best example that I can. So I would go to a lot of these meetings in schools, and I would get called into these meetings to help out with the student. This student of theirs would receive services from me. I'd sort of be like their advocate.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, and by and large, a lot of these people, for the majority, would live under the services that my company would provide.
Right.
Ability Beyond, by the way.
How do they find out about it? Where do they go to the website?
AbilityBeyond.org.
Okay.
Amazing things.
Okay.
Just mind-blowingly awesome.
And you've been there how long?
21 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I've been 26 in the industry, but 21 there. Yeah.
And you must be an expert. The people love you.
Nobody likes me at all.
Why? You mean the young adults or what?
They like me.
It's the staff that doesn't like you.
What? How do you know this? And it's silly things, but it's from doing it for so long.
I see. It's pattern.
Yeah.
You see the patterns.
Yeah,
and you
absolutely.
recognize patterns.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. Some people. So okay. For instance, we had an individual. I can't get into all the specifics.
Right.
But I'm at this meeting and I have an agenda.
Right.
I've read all their reports. I've read what the school says. I've read what their psychologist says. I make up my own opinions and I come up with a plan, which I think. So I go in there. As soon as the door opens, I'm talking.
Right.
And it never occurred to me that all these other people in the room, sometimes as many as 20, have other things to say. So what I've learned to do is shut up, listen, absorb, and fill in the gaps.
I see.
Or provide a perspective that they're just not able to see because they're not. It's hard to be objective when you're so close to something.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's why I have consultants in my business.
Right.
Because
and there you go.
I can't, like you, I have other people as well, but they see things that I don't see.
Yeah. And I think when equating that to the whole creative thing, when you see someone that's in dire need of help, you have to. You're the solution. You're the professional. You're the person that's got to be able to produce that thing. If you're not creative in those moments, and those are very quick moments.
Okay.
You have, you're letting someone down.
Have you ever studied neurolinguistic program? Have you ever listened to John Grinder or who's the other one, Bandler, or Virginia Satir? Are these names?
I've been to Virginia.
Okay.
Beautiful state, by the way.
But that's it. These people,
easy.
what they said was, here's the essence of it, is if you're trying something and it doesn't work,
right,
try something else.
Right.
And if that doesn't work, try something else.
Right.
And if that doesn't work, try something else. So no matter what you're doing with somebody in therapy,
right,
you have to be flexible. And I guess what I'm hearing from you is it's creativity.
Absolutely. So going back to the conversation that you guys were having, you said something to the effect of that the universe is infinite. And you can't comprehend that.
Or finite.
Okay,
Either way.
right.
Either one.
So
you have the answer?
I do.
You do?
I do.
Are you making it up?
Of course.
All right.
Again, have to think fast. I'll use the Grand Canyon as an example.
Okay, got it. Been there.
Been there, okay.
Yeah.
How did you experience? By car?
I did.
Okay.
And then I also walked to the edge, which I didn't like.
Right.
But anyway, I never went down into it.
No, okay. So when you pull over and you go into the park, depending on what side you're at, and you go to look, it is impossible to take it in. It is over 200 miles.
Right.
Your eye can't see that far.
Right.
And you go and say, and we instinctively say things like, well, that's beautiful, or that's massive. We don't really think, we're not challenging ourselves in that moment.
In what way?
Well, think about it. That's beautiful. Well, anybody can say that, right?
I could have stayed home and looked at a photo.
You could.
Right.
And you still wouldn't have been able to understand it.
No.
But a photograph you can understand to a degree because it's in front of you, you can see it, you can touch it. You can touch the Grand Canyon. Mm-hmm. But unless you're flying through the Grand Canyon or going on a burrow down that thing, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
You're just never going to really get that sense of what it is. You only can take in what you can take in, and you can only experience what you can experience.
It's limited.
It's very limited. And so that's where creativity comes in, and you start coming up with words.
Like what?
Beautiful.
Okay.
And I go back to guys like George Carlin, who said, well, there's 7 words you can't say on television.
You can say them here, by the way.
Oh, can I?
Yeah, but don't. But you can.
I'm
you can.
censored.
Yeah, no, you can, but I would say don't.
Oh.
Don't say it.
Fuddruckers.
Okay. That reminds me of the Christmas show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's beautiful. What else? What else?
So there's the thing, though. So you're left to your imagination until you go and experience that thing and really try to envelop yourself in the Grand Canyon, right?
Right.
So now think about, did you go to the Painted Desert?
No, I haven't.
Not
been
far
there.
from there. Okay. So it's, I think it's an hour south.
Okay. All right.
And you go there, and you will come up with every word and phrase and expression of what that thing represents, because it's much easier to take in. It's not 200 miles.
Right.
It's not even a mile.
I see.
And it becomes a much easier thing to comprehend.
Right.
So where creativity comes in is it tries to answer the questions that we can't answer. Whether that's religion, race, color, creed, philosophy,
Okay.
you know,
It's imagination.
Right. We're going to ponder these things, and I think the difficulty is where people take that imagination and then turn that thing into a belief.
A dogma.
Right.
Right.
That's where we get into the arguments.
Well, isn't language creativity as a label? In other words, I look at the Grand Canyon or I look at the stars and
Sure.
then I put a label on
Absolutely.
it. That's my language.
Right.
And
Right.
that language impacts how I think.
Absolutely.
And people who control the language also control how people...
100%.
Right.
But you have to communicate that language.
Yes.
That's what language is for.
Right.
To other people, and their simile, metaphor, adjective could be quite a bit different.
What's your metaphor for your life? Is it a game? Is it a party?
My life.
Yeah, your life. What is your metaphor? Mine is, well, I won't say what mine is. But
Oh, I'm dying to know this.
It's a game. I think I try to gamify a lot of things in business, because if you win, you lose, what's the big deal?
Okay.
So how do you see life as a metaphor?
It's definitely a series of ongoing experiences that haven't been finished yet.
And what would you call that?
Crap.
You should do stand-up.
Lot of BS,
You
right?
should do stand-up.
Just
No,
vamping.
really, you should. You know what you should do is do the stand-up telling the stories about what happened between 8 and 5.
There you go.
I think that would be wonderful.
Well, isn't that what most of stand-up is?
I think,
I think so.
You'd
for a lot
put
of it
people
is.
in stitches.
Maybe. Or
Right.
not. I've given people stitches. I'm not proud of that. The things we do when we're kids, or adults, or drunk, or sober. There's a few people I'd like to put in stitches, but and they would suffer more than I for the things they've done and not
So
done.
tell
Clip
me
that.
how you started this business, because you have a side hustle.
Right, the whole editing thing.
Yeah, how'd you get into that?
I've always been interested in film.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the 1970-ish born dudes cliche of I saw Star Wars and it changed my life.
Oh, wow. I still
Yeah.
remember sitting in the theater in the 70s, you
Yeah.
know, and seeing the Star, what was it?
Yeah, the Star Destroyer, and it's chasing that. Yeah,
and
the
it's just
blockade
going
runner.
right over your head.
Yeah, I mean, no one saw anything like that before.
You ought to go to Vegas and see David Copperfield.
I've been to Vegas. I've not seen David
In
Copperfield.
his show, he has this giant UFO right over your head. And
Yeah.
you're just like, how in the world? Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I went to a Pink Floyd show and saw a giant pig over my head.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was wild.
right.
And I don't remember any of it. It was wonderful, I'm sure. But,
So talk about your side hustle.
So how did it come about? Always interested in film.
Yep.
Always interested in story.
Right.
And guys like Jeff Campbell.
Okay.
He always said that was George Lucas. He was the greatest teacher to George Lucas, and George Lucas was his greatest student.
Okay.
And yeah, I 100% believe that.
And you're a storyteller when you do these videos. If it's a minute, 2 minutes, 3
I
minutes?
suppose so. It's a visual story.
I saw what you just did for Rich Sear, because I know he's appeering,
Yeah.
what, next year or this year or something? He's doing
Yeah, he's doing a
Palace
whole,
Theater or
the Palace
something?
Theater.
And you came up with that promo.
Absolutely, yeah. I would again, when you have creative minds
And you know this guy.
vibing,
Yeah.
the way we have. Again, it's not something we talk about. I just said, I think I have it.
Right.
I'll send it to you.
Right.
And then he said, yeah, that. Okay, good.
Okay.
And
so,
that's the
so really,
that's the
you
best.
need to get to know somebody and connect with them and read them,
Yeah.
and then produce it. So,
Usually that doesn't take very long.
and why did you call your company the
Old Brother Productions.
Yeah, why?
Starybrat.
Oh, your last
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
translation. And
Yeah.
it's one of those little, what's that mean kind of thing. And if
Is
you
that
get,
good for branding? Because I thought, maybe something that is relative should be also quite evident, and now I have to dig and find the answer. But it's
That's
okay.
what I like about it, because
You
it
do
becomes
like
its own little conversation piece.
I see.
And I like conversation pieces. If
Right.
you've ever been in my bar, there are plenty of conversations, too many conversations.
What do you mean your bar?
Oh, that whole Paul's Pub thing that I do.
I see.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
I don't know anything about it. What do you
Oh,
do?
it's a little webcast that I do.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was an excuse to get friends together, and
Are you doing this in your home studio?
yeah.
And
Oh,
what do
yeah.
you do? You have people on?
Yeah, we drink and we talk about whatever. is
No,
on
you
our-
don't.
Oh,
Just
sure
like
we do.
this, except we don't drink.
Right. That's
we don't
the problem.
drink
We should
before.
get that.
No, we don't drink before, nor after, and during. No.
Yeah, but I don't know why that you have that rule. That's
Probably
a very
there's
bad
rules. There's certain rules.
Yeah,
you know.
that whole FCC thing.
So how long you been doing that thing?
Paul's Pub isn't even really a thing. It's a joke. It was never meant to be taken seriously. Then
And you've been doing it? Do you have a following?
Oh yeah, yeah. We've been doing it for a few years, and just people kept watching, and I was like,
How many followers do you have?
I don't know, not many.
Okay.
7. I don't know.
Okay, 7 of your
And
closest
6 of them
friends.
are all my family. So and then there's the cat. But it was funny. Like people
Can you
started
imagine
watching.
if it went viral?
I would be in big trouble
Why?
because you need material. Then all of a sudden, then you're writing a show.
Now, what about the fact that you do, public work in the community? Do they care if you're doing this crazy stuff?
I kind of explained to them, like, I'm never going to talk about
Right.
any of that stuff.
Okay, great.
It's just never going to come into the conversation.
Okay, all right, and they're okay with that.
So far, yeah.
all right.
Although a few of them have watched it, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Having fun with my friend." And that's it. It's just goofing off. It's
Right.
It's like when you were a little kid, you wanted to be on TV, and
Right.
I'm going to do a newscast.
That's why I'm here.
And there you go. See, you're just chasing the dream.
And I'm meeting people like you. I mean, it's amazing.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, he's stuck. But it's so the old brother thing came from a love of film, love of story.
Right.
I started editing very primitive ways, things like little student films when I was in high school.
All right, gotcha.
I was into myth and fantasy and stuff, and in those classes,
Dungeons and Dragons and that started?
I suppose
Okay.
it would be well before high school.
Okay, all right.
That came out when I was like 8 or 9.
Okay, gotcha.
I think.
Okay.
And then, but I always had that interest in those sorts of things, and the fascination with religion becomes mythology.
Or vice versa, or they're
Sure.
connected, I
Yeah,
think, in some,
sure.
some.
Sure. Again, Joseph Campbell. It's
Oh,
all
Hero's Journey.
exactly.
You know about that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're all the same thing. Every culture's got kind of the same stuff. Fascinating.
And the hero's journey is Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
Joseph Campbell,
Totally.
Lucas.
Absolutely.
It's there. Oh, yeah.
100%. It's got like, sort of like World War II dogfights, just in a science fiction environment with sort of the Old West gunfighting stuff. A little Errol Flynn for good measure. It's got a little everything.
So where are you on the hero's journey?
I'm Errol Flynn.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very fancy.
Have you gotten the call to go to the adventure yet? Have you come back and
Have you seen my mustache? I did this just for him.
But you know what I mean.
do.
There's parts of the stage of
Sure.
you learn
yeah.
something and then you come back and you share
It's
it.
kind of funny how things go. So I started editing films at home as a kid from VCR to VCR, very primitive.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I started learning a little bit about computer animation. When I went to college, I was a part-time music student.
Okay.
And I found that the technology used in recording music is virtually identical to the technology used in photo editing and in filmmaking, meaning nonlinear filmmaking.
Right.
We're talking about digital stuff here.
Right.
And the idea of you're working in layers.
Yeah. It's magic. The way you're able to take all that and put it together.
It's an illusion.
It is an illusion.
It's magic to those that don't know. You know this.
Yeah, well, don't tell me the secret.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
but
I can't.
I will tell you, I'm very impressed.
Well, thank
I know
you.
you've done a couple videos for me. So how do people get a hold of you? Do they Google you? Do they find a website? What do they?
Please don't Google me. No.
Okay.
No, you can Google me. If you're on Facebook, just go to Old Brother Productions. Just type that in. You'll find me immediately.
Okay.
Currently working on a website, much as you are.
For your site? For
Yeah.
you? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's because things are really taking off.
And do you outsource it or do you do it?
Everything's me.
Okay.
100% me.
All right.
Actually, very recently, a video production company hired me to do a piece for them.
Wow.
For their intro, and I was like, wow, that's really flattering.
You should talk to Nutmeg. Maybe you could work here and do some stuff for them.
Sure.
We want to put together a commercial. That'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I give me a call.
That would be wonderful. Well, I don't know how you balance all of this. Like you're doing all of these things.
Drugs.
No.
No, nothing illegal. No. I just have a really good Dr. Feelgood. No. How do I balance it? Very carefully.
Yeah.
I think all of life is balance
Yep.
and reading people.
Excellent. I really appreciate you being on this. I mean,
Thank you.
we're going to have to play this back and just watch this, Paul, because a lot of things that you said so quickly. But I hope
slow it down.
I hope we gave you something to think about. We'll catch you next time. Mind yourself, Paul. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
I really appreciate this.